I run there our entrepreneurial activities. I've been involved in DEMOLA for a couple of years before in DEMOLA Tampere, where we studied social innovation projects then, and after that I've been doing 3 years approximately service innovation platforms and processes at the university. So that's my background, and I use service design methods and tools practically every day. All my coworkers are already so sick of it because she's always drawing something and putting things into, like, taking Legos into meetings and stuff, and then they are always like, what is she doing now? But they work, and that's the reason why I want to tell you as well about them. How many of you are familiar with service design? Knows more or less something about it, or have ever heard? Okay, let's start with that.
Only with design.
Design, close enough. Just you can just put the concept of service in front of it and say that you'll do services as well. That's true. To me, if I think about service design, well, in Finland, actually, nowadays, if you talk about service development, then you drop the concept of service design, then everybody's like, oh, really? Then it's like flashy and cool, and you get all the nice colors, but basically it's nothing more than just developing and innovating services with the use of design tools. So you use design methods and tools to develop services. And when I talk about services, I don't make a strict line between products and services. So you have been talking about something about value creation and how it matters whether it creates value or not. It doesn't matter whether if it's a chair or if it's sitting. If you know, like, you can provide a chair or you can provide a service that is called sitting. And what's the difference? Like, not big, not much. So that's the reason why I say that even though I talk about service design, it doesn't mean that if you're creating a product, like really, if you're creating application or something like that, then the difference between product and service is, it doesn't exist actually. So let's not make that an issue. My own design principles are always make it visual. Like, if you can make it visual, then you can communicate that easily to others. I know that I can explain something, and you probably know too that if you're explaining something to a friend in a Facebook chat or something, they can get a bit lost in the translation. Like, you try to be clever and they don't get it, and then it doesn't work. But then when you send them an image, it's probably more effective, and everybody loves memes, and that's the perfect example of good comics. Like, if you put it visual, then everybody gets it. If you just try to explain it, then everybody's like, So make it visual. Second one, probably you all heard a lot about iterations, and that you should do it fail as fast as possible. Like, that's the basic rule of iteration, that you try to come up with some kind of assumptions or guesses, and then try to validate them. And if they are not right, or if they prove to be something different, then you just do your iteration as fast as possible, and then continue to the next level in a way in your code. I'm going to give you examples soon how to do that. Take others along. Some might say, remind me in 4 hours? Yes. Then if you stay for Tommy's presentation, I know he'll probably use it. So. Okay, take others along. What I really mean to say is take customers along. And when you're doing DEMOLA projects, we always talk about end users and customers. Because you got the project assignment that is usually, and then they are usually your customers, but then you got the end users who are actually using what your project is about. So you can take all of them along, but always take the end user along. Those are the people, whatever you're doing, doesn't matter what project you're doing, take them along. And it doesn't mean that it has to be massive. It can be something really small, and you can start with small steps. Take them along. It's not hard. You can just ask. It's nothing that big. We always think about something massive when we think about taking customers with us in development, and then it's like big workshops, and you need to come here and spend with us like 3 hours minimum, and it's hard. It can be something that is much more easy. And try out stuff. Try out stupid stuff. We did a game it's the Pirkanmaa region, which is there are many municipalities in our region, like Tampere, and then there's all these smaller cities around it, and then they have this kind of like union, or it's kind of like top management thing, and then they are making a strategy for that region. So it's kind of like serious thing that we're making. We're really thinking about what's gonna be in 2020 and how's it gonna be. We made a game out of it, and we actually, when we were thinking about the concept, like how can we make the people participate in that process, and we started to think about it. So okay, so we got this game. We have these silly diamonds here. I'm going to show a picture about it, and then we got like all the actors. They got themselves kind of like sort of like Monopoly money and their like own things, and then they were placing them on the map in a way that okay, we got these and these activities, and we made a game out of it, and we had no idea whether it was going to work or not, but it seemed out to be actually quite okay, and then we got really good feedback about it. And in the first meeting, we started it with, well actually I was trying to, just like that, I was being really desperate with the computer and tried to set up a stupid PowerPoint. And then the other dude who I was doing it for, he was like this. Okay, so we have this, he has this kind of like a bag with all the silly tools and Play-Doh and stuff. And he started to, like, if we did the diamonds and make it like this, and then we have all the activities. And then we started to play them in that meeting. Play with them. And like, then they go on a table like this and and right from that minute they were, okay, and then we can do it like this and this and this. And then they started to build it with us in those meetings. So it wasn't just that we were presenting to them, and then they went back to their offices and were just like, but they really knew what we were gonna do during the whole thing. So it was all also, because they were the ones who had to actually hold the workshops. So they really had to know what it was about. So we kind of like, at least we assume that they know from the first meeting, approximately at least, like what we were thinking when we were designing that concept for those workshops. Okay, so let's move forward. We have today one topic, one game, we got 3 periods. They're going to go like that, and then we'll move the schedule so that we had the agenda, and I'm not going to destroy that much. So that we'll have, we were supposed to have coffee break from 10:45 to 11, so we're going to have it there. But we also need a bit smaller breaks, because hopefully you will be doing so much thinking that you need the breaks. And if not, then you can just have the break anyway. You don't need to think, but I hope that you do. These are my goals for this morning. I hope to give you tools and tricks how to get some customer data or customer insight. And also how to utilize that information. Because that's also, we need to think about that. If we go and ask from the customers, or if we try to get them along, what are we doing with that information? How can we actually utilize that? And also, I was hoping that we could do that sort of practice, that you would get some kind of insight about your customers already today, so that you can do a project. But are you guys running a project right now at the moment, each and every one of you? Yeah? Okay, cool. Then we can do it. We'll try. But you need to get out from this building, is that okay? Does that freak you out a bit? Cool. Because if I would say this to Finnish students, they would be like, oh, that's not good. Like, to talk to someone? Nuh-uh. It's not. Okay, but if you're cool with that, then that's fine. Okay. But also, think about your own goal. So almost every one of you has pen and paper, at least the girls. That's how it usually is. Write down. If you need paper, we got plenty of here. You can just come and take a piece. Write down one thing that you want to get out of this section. What do you want me to say? You don't need to tell it to anybody as long as you know it. What do you want to get out of this? And then when we are moving to completely wrong direction from your perspective, you need to shout it to me, or you can just tell it to me and ask me as many questions so that you'll get the thing that you're looking for.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the task?
Yes, I can. So write down one thing that you want to get out of this workshop. What is it that you want to find out, or what kind of tools do you need, or what is the information that you wish to have, or if you just are looking for good coffee and a piece of snack, right? That's important, because you need to then take care of that. That's something that I can help, or I cannot help that much still. Or actually I can, because then we need to have a bit more break. Everyone ready? Yes. Okay. Let's move forward. So as I was saying, what is service design about? It is developing and innovating services with utilizing design tools and methods. Can you give me an example of design tool or method?
Experience map, personas.
There's customer journey map. Blueprint. What am I doing here?
Prototype, wireframe, whatever.
Yeah, cool.
Lots of tools.
So we already have. I'm not going to take permanent. Not that one. I think that what's more interesting here is like if we talk about innovating services and innovations, so what are we talking about then? Because, okay, we know that we can use all the tools, but what if we are supposed to develop something new, something that is maybe interesting for the project customer as well, for the ones who have given us the project. So what's your definition of innovation? There is no one.
Making something that is impossible.
Making something that is impossible. Anyone else?
Improving something that already exists.
Improving.
Making money out of it.
Making
Money out of it.
money. Yeah. Anyone else want to contribute? Okay, here's mine. I use the ideal definition of innovation because I think that it makes sense. That's the reason. It's technically doable. Something that we can actually do. How many of you are engineers or has a technical background? That's nothing to be ashamed of. You're proud of it. I'm not worried about this a bit. We know that we got super clever engineers and we know that usually somebody finds a way how to technically do it already during the project. Then there's this one, which is usually the thing that the project partner is interested about. If it's financially viable, if it's something that we can actually produce after the project. What's the tricky part, I think, and where does the service design come along is that whether if it's emotionally attractive. So if it's something that actually is something that the end user is interested in. And it could be like if we think about biotechnology or something like that where the emotionally attractive is probably like it's a smaller circle probably. But still it has to be like for them as well, if you think about like B2B buyers, it has to be still, it has to have those values attached to it as well. When I think about value creation and if we think about innovations as stuff that are new plus create value, you said that money is a thing that's true. We got financial value, but we also have functional value, whether it really works or not, whether it helps the customer to do something that they are trying to do. But also it has this emotional or symbolic value, because you know that it's not the same thing if you buy, let's say a skirt, if you buy it from Burberry or Prada or whatever, like luxury brand, or if you buy it just from H&M. It's not the same thing. So we got different types of value, and that's the thing that I hope that you, like when you do a project, for me it works as a design principle, some sort of, that what kind of value in those like really big themes, like what are we trying to do? Are we just trying to do something that is cheap, something that is working, or something that really creates like emotions, or it awakens something in us that is bigger in a sense? If you think about DEMOLA, they talk about community, and they talk about that it's part of being in an international network, and it's part of also it's creating something new. You just don't get credits. Like is more than that, and it's the same thing. Like if you talk about just making the credits, or that they got the facilitation process that works, then it's the functional and the financial value. Is that you get something out of it and it works. But then when it's something that you have a community, you might even build yourself some kind of network, or you might get new friends, or you might get a job opportunity, then it's more than that. So what is it in your project that you try to do? And then when it has all the three, it usually has an I in it, so then it's closer to innovation. That's my definition. And we start with this. Why we start with the whether if it's emotionally attractive or not.
What is to do?
Yes. And we can figure it out. Like we can then scale it down, or we can figure out. We can just Google all the nice new codes and stuff, so that we can actually do it. But what is it that we want to do? We need to start from that. Someone else might say something else. Like they might think that some other part is the most important. This is my food. Just you can decide what to do with it. But this is how I see it. Are you familiar with the business model canvas? Someone is? You? Ah, good. Anyone else? Ever seen? Yeah? Oh. Back rows today really sharp. Kicking ass. Question for the facilitators. Do we have a printer here?
Yes.
Can we print something out?
Exactly here?
Oh, well, it doesn't have to be here, but can we have
Of course.
those canvases printed?
Yes, of course.
There's a website called businessmodelgeneration.com.
We have the canvas, no problem. So we
You-
can print. How
Can
many
we
do you
have
need?
one for each?
Okay, no problem.
That would be awesome. Because we'll start with these two. I know that we'll start with these. It's handy when I go in front of the project and show it. But anyway, we'll start with those. I know that you will go through it with Tommy probably in more detail, but we need the first two boxes, so we'll start with that. Yeah, I'm gonna let you. Are you in some sort of teams? Like, do you have your teammate here today? Some of you do, some of you don't. Okay, then you can do a single project, or you can just pair up, if you will. That's probably more fun. But when you get the canvases, then I'll tell you what to do. But if you think about the project that you have, you've been doing already some pitching, have you? About your project to someone, to your project partner, or yeah, some of you have. If you have, then that's good. This is this is what your pitch is mostly about. It's about what is your project, what it does for the customer. And it's if it is that you promise a kick-ass innovation project with cool events and nice people, then that's the value proposition that you got. And then there's the end user of the project, like who is it that is really your customer, and maybe I would recommend at this point to say the most important group of customers that you got, because it's really difficult to decide, and when you do service design, you don't do it one size fits all matter of way. You do it in more precise way, so that, because we know that if you, let's say a taxi service that, let's say a hotel taxi service for foreigners mainly. So if you have it, it's it doesn't, it matters whether you do it for native Lithuanians or for a foreigner who doesn't speak at all the language. So it matters. Then it matters whether the taxi drivers speak English, whether you can pay with credit card or not. All these types of things matter. And that's the reason why you need to define who are your customers and what are the segments that you're doing it for. Does it make sense? Yes? No?
But what if you must design for broad, as broad as you can?
Then I would pick a couple of archetypes. And probably like if you think about, let's say a public service, which usually have to be for more or less everybody. Then I would probably think about groups that are a bit more challenging than others. Like it's easy to design a healthcare service for me because I'm rather healthy and I can walk with my own 2 feet and I have okay education, I can read and that kind of stuff. And I can think about like, I can talk with probably more or less with the same language than doctors. But what if you take senior citizens who cannot, who don't know what are all the possible services that exist, who don't use internet to get to the service, and who probably need a bit of help how to get there, and that kind of stuff. Then I would pick those ones who are really the ones who cannot pay. Yeah.
There is one very good example, like if you would design a chair for a very tall and a very short guy, then the person of average height would fit to that chair as well. So you can take this
Yeah.
very like endings of your target group, and then the average person would fit as well.
Yeah. And I kind of like the lead user idea, so that you have the user group. It doesn't go that well with public services, but if you think about it, those are the ones who are spreading the word about your service in the first place. So if you can design it for them, usually that could work. Usually. Sometimes. Have you guys heard about Steve Blank? If you haven't, Steve Blank is the dude who has developed Lean Launchpad. It's a really cool concept. It's about developing in a lean process, and he talks about product market fit. And this is actually what we're looking for today, is that we're making assumptions, guesses about what our customer wants. That's what we start with. Because it's always like, we think about that okay, this is what they're looking for, this is what they want, and we're assuming that we got some customers that they are this group, and that they need this. And it's about validation that, like, are they really the ones who are interested in our project? Do they have the interests that we think they do? And using